Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is episode 116 with Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, and today we are talking about Sherwin-Williams color forecast for 2022. So today is a show that will inevitably be at the top of our analytics as a fan favorite. We know this because the last two times this guest has been on the show, our listeners were most definitely tuning in. So we're thrilled to welcome Sue Wadden. She's the Director of Color Marketing for Sherwin-Williams, back to discuss the new color mix color forecast for 2022, as well as the new Sherwin-Williams Color of the Year that was just announced last week. So, Sue began her career as a color expert at Sherwin-Williams in 1998. She's an interior designer and a color marketing specialist. Today, as Director of Color Marketing, though, Sue is the resident expert on color for Sherwin-Williams, responsible for the company's overall viewpoint of color leadership and color trend forecasting. But in our eyes, she is the queen of Sherwin-Williams. So if this is a subject that interests you, and this is always a great show, we want to encourage you to go back and listen to episodes 43 and 90, the last two times Sue was on, to hear more about her and all the work that she and Sherwin-Williams do to become such important trend analyzers in our industry.
So we are so excited, but before we start our lively conversation with Sue, we are thrilled to tell you that this episode of Inside Design is sponsored by Jaipur Living. If you haven't listened to episode 107 with Yash Ranga from Jaipur, it is a must. Jaipur is one of our favorite rug partners. Interior designers agree, since 95% of customers rate Jaipur Living as better than any other rug company. Jaipur has won the last 2 Dallas Arts Awards and 3 design awards last year at Dometax in Germany. When we talked to Yash on episode 107, we learned all about the unparalleled depth and breadth of support that Jaipur has for their artisan rug makers and their communities with the unique doorstep entrepreneurship model. The more we learn about Jaipur, the more we love them. It really is an amazing story. So we encourage you to visit jaipurliving.com.
All right. Well, welcome, Sue.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Yay! We're so glad to hear your voice again.
Yes.
It is
and I have
great to be back.
So it is such a breath of fresh air to talk about the new paint colors and forecast, and we love to talk about with you, Sue. So welcome back to our show.
I'm excited to talk about 2022. God, am I excited to talk about 2022.
So for those of you who have not listened to you on the show, just give us, there's lots in the previous episodes, but give us a brief intro into what you do and why Sherwin-Williams is the leader in the color forecasting arena that we turn to every year.
Sure. So again, I'm the Director of Color Marketing, which is as cool a job as the title would indicate, right? It's just, right? It's a great job, but it's a difficult job. It's busy. So my job is really like thought leadership and color leadership for the Sherwin-Williams brand. So whether that's, obviously trend forecasting, which we're going to talk about today, or new color palettes in the store, or, how to navigate our digital experience online. It's a really unique perspective in such a big company because there are just a few of us that really, really deal with color. So I've been doing this a long, long time. I've had experience in everything from picking out colors for bridges to, working with builders to obviously doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, it's been a great career. I can't tell you how much I love my job. I'm lucky.
And to naming the colors.
Yes,
and to naming the colors.
I remember the very first time that you were on.
We almost fell off our chairs.
And I just randomly said, so who's the person that picks the colors? And then you said, oh, that person would be Sue Wadden. And we were like dying. So every time I look at color, I think of you all the time, Sue, because I'm looking at color names.
How'd she come up with that?
Yeah. I have to look a couple up in the dictionary, actually.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you got to go in deep, right? To get a unique name. And it's not easy. It is not easy. I will tell you that. That's the one thing I can tell you, but it is fun. And I have a writing background. That was my undergrad degree was in literature. So I do like the language side of what I do. So that makes it more fun, I guess. But it's tricky. It's hard to navigate.
I would think
that
you would
sometimes.
need that because your vernacular, your vocabulary knowledge must be quite
Well,
impressive.
look at you using vernacular. I'm impressed.
I
with
know.
that. Wow.
I come
she
from
had
a
to brush
literary
up. Yeah,
family.
She had to brush up because we were talking to you.
I'm the black sheep of a literary
All
family.
right, so let's ask you this. So how much did the COVID experience affect this palette, and how hard was it for your team to do their normal travel and research for this color forecast?
Yeah, because
That
so
was
much
the
goes
hard part.
into it.
You couldn't.
Yeah.
So we had to rely a lot on syndicated reports and kind of the stuff that's already out there in the marketplace that, everybody leans into. And then I think what was good about it is that we had kind of had enough travel in our back pocket leading into COVID that we had a lot to pull from. So it helped to kind of tell us maybe what we didn't want to talk about or what we had talked about. For instance, I didn't want to talk about anything bohemian, or I didn't want to talk about hyper-crafted artisan, because we had kind of been there, done that for previous forecasts. And so I knew we wanted to try to have it sound new and fresh. Oh, it was, I tell you what, this was a difficult year, and we hadn't seen each other for 2 years. So we literally got the 2019 forecast in and then went into lockdown. And so, we have touch bases all year long where I get to see the members of this team and we collaborate and talk, and it just wasn't happening. So it was tough. It was a difficult year, but I really do think that we ended up in a great spot despite all of that sort of difficulty. I'm really happy with the way this forecast came out. I think it's maybe, I say it every single time, it's maybe my favorite, but I think this one's my favorite.
This one is my favorite. I'm actually looking through, and I guess probably people could get these at a Sherwin-Williams store. I'm looking at the mode color mix forecast where it shows, each section, and then there's the one page that shows all 40 colors. When I look at that page, it's just so, there's something about it. I mean, sometimes, they're not as funky crazy as they are sometimes.
Well, so I wanted a cleanser. I wanted a year, a visual cleanse on where he had been. So we worked hard on establishing the name. So mode is a very architectural name, in my opinion, but each of the letters of mode represent each palette name. So
I just
it's
figured
method,
that out as I was
opus,
looking.
yes. So it was very thoughtful and clever to start, but it was clean. I didn't want a lot of clutter. I didn't want a lot of logo and graphics, a really simplified experience visually. And that helped kind of level set in my mind. And then we built from there. So in the photography, it's really beautiful, but it's simple, right? There's not a lot of stuff. And that's what I needed for 2022. I just needed a cleanser.
You accomplished that.
And I was going to say, your vision just to even have that vision is why you are so good at what you do.
This book
thank you.
is really, really great. So,
I mean, I just look, we're going to get to them all, but I just look at Dreamland.
Dreamland
and my blood pressure goes down. I mean,
it does. Yeah. So that one, that's my stretch palette. I am not a purple girl. I am not.
Me neither.
We are not either.
But light lavender and rosé together and dynamo, I could die.
Yeah.
It's stunning really with those greens. Oh, yeah, I totally agree. agree. Beautiful.
Yeah, rosemary.
Yeah. Should we stop at the top or start at the top?
Well,
sure.
Yes, I guess because method includes the color of the year, which maybe
we gotta
we post and show that, but maybe a lot of people listening don't know it. So go ahead, you can be the first.
Talk about nature's processes.
Yes. So method is our first. The M in mode is method. And this is really about, obviously, in trends, we've talked about the power of nature, certainly since COVID. But even leading into it, nature is always a trend indicator. We get some sort of inspiration from nature always, whether it's sky blues or watery muted colors or colors of rain or whatever that might be. But what nature is telling us now is that colors are warming up. So I think I've said this 50 million times, but we are really moving out of gray. And so for consumers or a homeowner that's listening to this, designers aren't going to be talking about their favorite grays anymore. We're moving into a space that's bone whites and taupes and browns and natural colors. And those are really nature inspired. So I knew that a green was what we wanted to talk about. Well, I was 75% sure I wanted to talk about a green for color of the year. It was just deciding which was the right one. So as we were building out the method palette, I didn't want a verdant green, like a really saturated green, an intense green. We've had a pretty saturated color of the year for the last 2 years. And I wanted to just lighten it up a little bit and give some breath right into that color. But I wanted it to be sophisticated. And sometimes when you get too colorful, people are afraid to use the color. Whereas Evergreen Fog, which is the color of the year, is beautiful and totally usable. Totally usable.
You know,
It's awesome.
I see it.
Love
I
it.
see it in so many ways. I see it on kitchen cabinets. Because it's like soft enough that you can do that.
Like olive,
exterior,
but not as scary.
yeah, exterior of a home. I mean, would be beautiful.
Would be beautiful. So front doors, you can see it. And in mud rooms, you know, we've seen people reverse out their trim and put color on their trim and a neutral on the wall, a white or a cream. That looks really great. It looks really pastoral. You can put it in any architectural style almost, whether it's modern contemporary or California casual or cottage core or whatever thing you're going for as far as an aesthetic. It fits really well into kind of everywhere. And what I really like about it is the undertone is like slatey gray.
Yep.
Like it's just got a muted undertone, so it's not so in your face. And
it looks good with gray. It looks good with gray.
And that's what I was going to say is we do a million color palette designs, interior and exterior for clients, and Accessible Beige is one of our go-tos for that
color.
transition out of gray or into gray or just, but what I love about this palette is for those clients that are still telling us, well, I still love farmhouse or I still like all neutrals, or Urbane Bronze, Soji White, and Accessible Beige is like the perfect neutral palette.
Yeah.
But then we always say, but what do you want your pop color to be? Can we bring in? And they're always like, well, here's all your answers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Here's all your answers. Chartreuse and
chartreuse
and big like
with
gold.
that.
I mean,
Urbane Bronze. I love that combination.
Yeah. So that's just, it's done for you. Here you go.
You knocked it out of the park, Sue, as usual.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and the other colors in this, like Umber is this rich caramel brown. We haven't really seen browns in a while, and I love it. It is such a gorgeous combination with the rest of these colors in this palette. It's beautiful. And then the pop of chartreuse and baked like gold. It's those are accents for sure, but I don't know.
We've been leaning very much towards leathers that are like Umber and woven wicker, those caramelly tans.
I love them.
For the past year. And so it's nice to have a paint color that ties it into.
Yeah, we as soon as we launched this, we can kind of track who's ordering color chips. And that was like a single day high total for Umber. And I don't think that color has ever been ordered by anyone ever because nobody really knows about it. It's a newer color for us. Yeah. So I was excited because it's gorgeous.
And we want to remind people that if you got to go on to Sherwin-Williams website and go to the color forecast and look at mode and look at the photography, because to me it helps so much, because when you look at the chip, you might go, I don't know about that. It's kind of like, just a muddy brown, but then you see it in the back of a bookcase, or you see it on a single wall, or you see it in the photography and you're like, oh yes, I get it now.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I will say also Soji White, we use it all the time. We were when we did the color marketing here in Atlanta, there were maybe 12 designers, everybody's favorite white. Soji White.
It's a great
a designer's favorite. Yep.
It's a designer.
Yeah,
favorite.
We're going to get to discussing that event at the end. Mm-hmm. Okay, Opus.
So obviously the O in mode. Opus is kind of emerging, right? So we talked a lot about maximalism over the last 2 years, and it was bright and jewel tone and over the top and just everything that maximalism is, which we love. But because inevitably it was going to happen, COVID had so obviously many negative effects. There's a little bit of a somber undercurrent going on in design that's really emerging. And I equate it to 1980s punk rock. It's almost like this urban industrial vibe that's reemerging as a result. And so we talk about Opus, and we made it jewel tone and, a little beautiful, a little more luxe for this purposes of the trend book. But the colors are really rich. So you've got dark grays, charcoals, navy, blue, like blackberry is this 100% awesome berry tone that we haven't seen since 1995. I'm convinced.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But you know what's great about these colors? I mean, it does kind of remind me of the back in the day when we painted, walls really dark. But like, these are great colors for doors too, like coral clay, like with that navy is so pretty. So I look at these as more, accent walls or kind of front door colors.
Agreed. And again, this, you're not going to put probably all of these into a home unless you've got some grand home, in my opinion. But individually, they're stunning. And as a collection, it's just really forecasting what's coming. We are 100% going to see darker colors and richer, deeper colors emerge. And in the trend cycle terms, it's 1990s, sort of all that darkness, all that mystery and, angst. We'll see that emerging again in design coming out of COVID. So something to watch. That's the emerging palette.
Okay. Wow, that's just awesome. It's just fascinating to hear the I love the why behind each one is what I get.
So, Dreamland.
Okay,
sorry, every single one of those is amazing.
Oh, that's what I new seasons. It's like, yes, 2022. Come on, give it to us.
We did. We were talking about rebirth, and we were, certainly nature again. But what has emerged, obviously, that all of us know is the digital space. So we spent so much time in the last 2 years really on screens and living in this digital existence that color is shifting a little bit, right? It's getting a little cooler in undertone when you think about digital color. And so that's where these purples and cooler tones came in. So I wanted to talk about nature, but I wanted it almost like through the lens of a digital expression. And that's where this palette came from. So cooler chromatic tones. I'm not saying cooler neutrals, but cooler colors, sort of that cooler undertone, like light lavender, even though that lavender is a warm color, it's just got a little coolness to it so that when you put it into a space, it just lights up that room. I love
It's very sophisticated. These colors are very sophisticated, I think.
Sophisticated. I agree. And it just is like a shocking combination. I look at this palette, I'm like, I love it. And they're not usually
So you could look at it and think it was very playful, or you could look at it and think it's very sophisticated.
Once again, like you mentioned, Kelly, like when you look at the photography and you look at that light lavender in like that dining room, it's very sophisticated looking. It doesn't look like a little girl's room,
Right. It doesn't.
What I love about it too is for this collection, you can pull out interior and exterior colors. You know what I mean? Like highly reflective white, natural linen, felted wool, and rosemary. Done.
Felted wool, we've
exterior
used it.
colors, like you're done. Yep. Rosemary's your door.
Exactly.
Felted wool is your shutters. Natural linen is your siding. And highly reflective white or pure white, or tone it down if you need to, is your trim.
Exactly.
I mean, you're done.
Exactly.
And then you move inside, and maybe you have like we do a lot of like ladies like cocktail rooms instead of like the living room or sitting rooms, and that's where I would pull in all of those lavenders and that
with
pink.
the grand piano or something.
Yes. And then,
well, and so if you, and for the listeners that don't have something in front of them, you can download a PDF of the brochure until you can get one in your hands. But if you go back to the center section and look at the full palette, so the reason we call it mode is these 40 colors really represent where colors are trending. So this is like your guidebook. So we just curate them into collections because that's the fun way to tell the story. But you can see, this. There's a heavy expression on green. Blues are still like certainly trending. Neutrals are warming up. You've got these deeper, richer colors on the far left, and then brighter sort of pop colors on the right. You can see where whites are going. So it's really a guidebook kind of on where color's going. So if that's helpful. So to your point, for exteriors, you can just pull and play and have a great time putting combinations together, even from just these 40.
Yeah. Well, and that is a great reminder that this is a forecast. So this is a trend forecast. So these colors are good for like
down the road.
Down the road. Like you can pick any of these and you're good to go for a couple of years. For sure.
Yeah. For about 18 months to 24 months is really our cycle.
Sometimes when we're doing a color consultation, someone will be like, what do you think, Gray? And we're like, listen, we've talked to Sue Wadden, and she has told us that and I think like that's the service that we offer because we talk to you and we follow this stuff. We are helping people so that in 2 years, like all the gray is gone and they still have it. And, when you're painting a neutral color throughout your entire home, you don't do that every couple years.
No,
so we're trying
you
to
don't.
bring them into the more, and you've told us that long ago.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so we're finally seeing.
The other thing I want to tell people who are literally freaking out. I mean, my entire interior of my home is repose gray. I still love it. I'm going to love it for a long
beautiful.
time. I
Yes.
just love that color. But when you look at the new mode colors or what's been pulled out, and you look at Logia, and you look at felted wool, and you look at Garrett gray and accessible beige and natural linen, don't freak out, because these are all beautiful partners with gray. They will
Exactly.
transition you out or with gray. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
don't freak out that Sherwin-Williams did you wrong, and the whole, the trends are for the, are garbage, because now look where you are. It's just evolving. That's all it is.
And that's truly what it is. I mean, things just move. They go in cycles. In the 2000s, we couldn't get out of beige's way, right? Every single neutral in every space in 2004 was a beige, right? Gray was nowhere to be found. It's just the way things go. It's the cycle. Yeah. But I think it's important to talk about that, like balance, right? You bring in warmer neutrals because they do look great with existing gray. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just sort of like the balancing act. So it's not too cool.
Exactly. So the last one,
which I don't know how to pronounce, and I don't know what it
Ephemera?
means.
Ephemera.
we always ask Sue for a definition when she's on. So yeah.
So ephemera is the feeling of nostalgia. So that feeling that you get when you look back at mid-century modern furniture and you think of your grandma's house, like that's the ephemera.
It does.
And that's the importance of nostalgia.
You just saying mid-century modern. That's totally what it is. It's totally what it is.
This is 100% COVID related, in my opinion. People are absolutely looking back in history of design for familiar shapes and patterns and colors to sort of reimagine for a new normal and what's next. And so we're seeing that across the board, from home accessories to the way TVs are designed, to shapes and profiles, to patterns on textiles. Like it is, it's not, pervasive. It's not everything that we see, but in most collections, you will see a nod to sort of nostalgic design, whether that's, 50s through 80s and, kind of not into 90s yet, but it's definitely going to come on strong. And this will hit like available design and pattern very soon. So these colors that you see in this collection are just out there. Again, it's about the familiarity of what we've seen before. And so to a 20-year-old, right, this looks modern, new, and fresh. And to a 40-year-old designer, you've seen this, but you get why this works, right? So that's why I think in times of crisis, people really look back to kind of guide them into the future.
Got it. I mean, I look at that pink shadow, and that's my grandmother. Done. I mean, that's her.
So great.
Yep. And Moody Blue, she would have loved. She'd say yes to Moody Blue as well.
Moody Blue would
Moody
look
Blue.
great with grays. Grays with Moody Blue.
Oh, and the bass
good.
green with grays.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
I know. I love that bass green. That one's my favorite. I'm always an orange girl, so Rejuvenate is such a beautiful pop of color. You can't even. I love it on that door in that shop.
I could see that bass green like in a beautiful library that has a lot of trim and molding. So like handsome and so masculine, but still,
yeah. Or on a ceiling.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's mode.
Wow. That's amazing. Amazing.
Really love it.
I love it.
Really love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Joanne, I couldn't go, but tell Sue about the first annual Atlanta Paint Color Trends event.
Yeah. So
that was in July.
Yeah.
In July in Atlanta.
Yeah. So Rachel Moeller, who's our rep, who's just amazing. There is a new Sherwin-Williams showroom at the America's Mart. And
do you like it?
Yeah, it's great. Great little workspace, and
it's awesome.
So nice. And so they invited a few designers to come in and do color trending for Atlanta, something brand new that they tried. And so we had to it was a lot of homework. We had to fill out a lot of stuff and show images of colors that we thought. And it felt very much probably sort of like what you kind of do. But Kelly and I had done color marketing group a couple of years ago. So it was sort of that same, kind of feeling. You dig real deep and so we had come up with a group of great colors, and I don't know when
How
they're
can
going to.
people see that list if they live in Atlanta?
I'm going to have to ask Rachel because it's a great document that shows all the designers. We showed some of our work and we pulled out colors that we thought, and then we all had to collaborate together and pick those colors. So
I saw the results and it looks great. And you know why I love that? So just take one step backwards. I'll take that insight that you guys did, and then next year when we start talking about our forecast, we'll sprinkle that into the conversation and say, this is what we're seeing in the Southeast. And because those regional color associations are so important to building an overall forecast, those are like the pieces parts that you build the, kind of the broader picture from. So I think you guys did a great job.
Yeah, and I think we were looking at it from an interior design, not automotive, not any of that. It was all based on interior design. So I kind of like that. So let's ask, Sue, what is your favorite, your 5 all-time favorite Sherwin-Williams colors? Because
golly.
I know.
What?
Well, last time you said one of your faves was shiitake, and don't think we didn't specify that 5,000 times with our clients after that. So now we need we need something new because we OD'd on it because you said it was your favorite.
Okay, so we launched, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, the Emerald Designer Edition colors.
Of course.
Oh my God, yeah.
They're awesome. And so my new favorite all-time green, in addition to Evergreen Fog, is my dining room. It's Taiga 7654. Taiga is the color of the evergreen forest in the Siberian, right? It's I had to go deep on that one.
What does Taiga mean?
It's a region of the forest way, way, way above the tree line where you can, it's like this wintry region, and it looks like the evergreen boughs up there.
Okay.
Okay. Love it.
We put her on the spot.
I love you guys. I love it. That one's my favorite. Anonymous is a really warm, dark gray.
I love that
That's been a favorite of mine forever.
Yep, we've used that one.
I love a color called, I'm looking at it in my palette. I'm trying to get you the numbers so that you have it. In the Emerald Designer Edition colors, it is...
I also want to know your favorite white.
It's easy. It's pure white. It's nothing.
Oh, that's my favorite too.
So much.
It's nothing. It's just a great neutral white, right? Not too warm, not too cool. It's the 3 little bears is what I call that one. And there's a color called Minimalist, which is 9611. It's just a taupey neutral, a little bit darker than Accessible Beige, which is also one of my favorites.
Is that in the Emerald collection?
It's
Minimalist?
Yep.
Okay.
I remember we considered it for something. I remember the name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I gave it such a name that I would love. Because I love that color. Yep. And it's just a touch darker than Accessible Beige and just a tiny bit cooler in color temperature. It's gorgeous. That whole strip I love. What else do I love? I love dark colors like charcoals. So Urbrain Bronze is a favorite.
Of course.
It's one of our favorites.
I just chose for the first time for an exterior of a house on a lake, Gray Harbor.
Oh, that's pretty.
Which I've never specified before, but I was looking for a deep, deep gray that had a teeny bit of blue in it.
Mm-hmm. And it came out great.
Like that kind of Cape Cod look. Mm-hmm. And then I put Heron Plume as the trim.
Mm. So, that's the other.
I didn't want it to be bright white.
Heron Plume is a good one. Mm-hmm.
Heron Plume, but there's a color called Eider White, EIDER, Eider White.
Yeah. We use it.
That is the ceiling of my entire house.
Yes.
We use mixed with repos.
We use a lot of that too.
It's magical. So it's got just a little bit of gray undertone that it goes extremely well, obviously, with whites, but it pairs well with cooler grays. I love that color. But it's just a trace of color. It's perfect.
Yes. Yep, I know it well. I look at it every morning when I wake up. Well, I'm going to go look up Taiga now because I might have to.
It is not to be missed. If you're looking for a darker green, Evergreen Fog is sort of light to mid-tone. Taiga's darker, and it's beautiful.
Can you put them
beautiful
together?
Up. Yes, they're gorgeous.
Ceiling and wall.
Yeah.
I know. Gorgeous.
Okay.
All right, we got to wrap up.
I know, this is always so fun, you guys.
Maybe we should do an hour show next time with Sue. We'll have to beg Russ.
I would do it.
Oh, gosh. All right, ready for quotes. Here we go.
Okay.
Funny quote. This is me because I learned a lesson. I have this really, really cool hardware in my kitchen, but it sticks out a little bit. So think of me. I just want to know why my clothes only get stuck on the door handle when I'm in a bad mood. I cannot tell you how many linen dresses or with pockets I have gotten caught, and I have cursed my brains out.
Plus, there's like those flowy sleeves are kind of in. So the sleeves are wider, you walk past, and then you get...
And you're already like kind of jumbled for the day, and it's like every expletive in the planet comes out my mouth. Okay.
I love the series quote. So, it's not what you broadcast to everyone else that determines the trajectory of your life. It's what you whisper to yourself behind closed doors that has the greatest power and influence. And that's from Watson Kennedy. That's so great. It's so
true.
It's
so true. So
the
true.
whispers in your head, how you talk to yourself, how you face the day. Yep. I'm just learning I have a new Peloton, and I'm just starting to explore all the classes. So I've started some of the meditative classes that they have. And meditating is very hard to do, but yes, I'm really liking it.
It gets easier. It gets easier though. The more you do it, it gets easier.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sue, for joining us again. And we want to thank our sponsor, Japour Living. Don't forget to check them out at japourliving.com. And please rate and review our show so others can tune in.
And do not forget to go onto SherwinWilliams.com and look at the new color forecast, print out the PDF that Sue was talking about, and check out all the mode colors, because it will put you in a happy place.
It will. And for those designers out there, they can just contact their account executives and get a book sent to them until it's available for everybody, which will be later this year.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Well, awesome. Sue, be well. We love talking to you.
Once again,
you did pleasure.
Such an amazing job with these colors.
Yeah, you really did.
We're so excited. So excited.
And if you come to the new showroom, please let us know. We will be there.
I will call you guys. We will make a date. How's that?
That would be great.
Yes, meet in real life.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Day. Thanks for
appreciate
listening.
it.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.